Vegetables. Vegetables are also alkalizing. But there is a question mark with one group of vegetables. It's the nightshade. It's the nightshade group of vegetables. So we put a question mark here because some people do well with these and some people don't. There's the tomato, the bell pepper, and sometimes called aubergine or eggplant, and the white man's potato. I'm not referring to the sweet potato because the sweet potato is not a potato, it's a yam. So this is the nightshade group of vegetables. And I have always discovered that if someone has an inflammatory condition in their body, they're best to keep away from the nightshades.
You know, there are moments in life when we think we're doing all the right things, eating our vegetables, drinking plenty of water, walking each day, and yet something unexpected happens. A friend suddenly collapses. A neighbour who was the picture of health is rushed to hospital with a stroke. And we're left wondering, you know, how could this happen? As someone who has worked with seniors for decades, I've sat across from many wise and beautiful souls in their 60s, 70s and even 90s who have shared the same puzzled look. They've said, but I eat so healthily, I eat lots of vegetables. And that's often where our conversation begins, because not all vegetables are as harmless as they seem, especially when our bodies start to change with age. You see, as we grow older, our circulation becomes more delicate, our arteries a little stiffer, and our mineral balance a little more sensitive. What may have been good for us at 30 may not always serve us the same way at 60. And tonight we'll talk about a few surprising vegetables that, when eaten in excess or prepared in the wrong way, may quietly increase the risk of a stroke, sometimes overnight. Before we go any further, dear friends, please remember, always consult your doctor before making any changes to your diet, supplements or exercise routine. Now let's begin by understanding what's really happening inside the body when stroke risk increases and why something as simple as what's on your dinner plate could make all the difference.
One of us? Why? Why are these things so? We should all be private investigators investigating why these so, because there's always a reason. So can you see there's not one thing that causes heart disease, strokes? It's a whole lot of little things. And we had a lady do our program from London. She was 48. She was the CEO of a big company and she just had a stroke. They did an angiogram on her. Her arteries were clear. What caused the stroke? So I began to investigate. Tell me about the week before you had the stroke. And she looked a bit embarrassed, so I knew some things were coming that she didn't want me to know. She said, well, I had some deadlines. So she said, I was staying up all night. Sleep's gone down. Do you know, while we sleep, our body repairs, revives, rejuvenates.
Understanding stroke risk in seniors. A stroke at its heart is a problem of circulation. It happens when blood flow to a part of the brain is suddenly interrupted, either because a vessel has become blocked or because it has burst. The brain, which depends on a constant flow of oxygen-rich blood, can't survive long without it. But what's fascinating, and what I've seen time and time again in my years of natural health education, is that strokes rarely come out of the blue. They are the result of many small imbalances building quietly over years. Thickened blood, sticky platelets, mineral imbalances, dehydration, or even hidden inflammation from food choices we thought were healthy. Now, I want you to imagine, not in a dramatic way, but simply your arteries as beautiful garden hoses. When they're new, the water flows freely, easily, but over time, as small deposits gather along the sides, that passage narrows. And if the pressure builds up too much, the hose either bursts or clogs. That's exactly what happens inside our blood vessels. And what most people don't realise is that food can directly influence this pressure and thickness of the blood, not just through fats or salt, but through certain plant compounds, especially in some vegetables. These compounds interact with minerals like potassium, calcium and magnesium, and they can either thin the blood beautifully or make it thick and sluggish. And that's where things get interesting. And many of the vegetables that we call superfoods, from those deep green or richly coloured varieties, are rich in oxalates and nitrates. In moderation, these compounds can be helpful, but when consumed in excess, especially in older adults whose kidney function or circulation isn't as robust as it once was, they can cause blood to become sticky or even encourage small clots to form, and that's when the risk of a stroke quietly rises. And how the body's natural balance shifts with age. One of the most overlooked truths about aging is that our internal chemistry subtly changes. The body's ability to clear certain compounds slows down. The liver, the kidneys, the lymphatic system, they're still working faithfully, but they need a little more care, a little more gentleness. For instance, the way the body handles sodium and potassium, two minerals that are vital for blood pressure, can shift dramatically after 60. If you've ever felt lightheaded when standing up too quickly or notice swelling in your ankles by evening, those are signs that your fluid balance may be changing. Now combine this with certain vegetables that are extremely high in oxalates, such as spinach, beet greens, Swiss chard, and what happens? The oxalates can bind with calcium in your blood and tissues, forming tiny crystals that the kidneys must work hard to remove. Over time, if the kidneys are burdened or slightly dehydrated, these crystals can circulate and contribute to vascular stiffness, and stiff arteries are far more likely to rupture or block under pressure. I've met seniors who proudly told me, I have a spinach smoothie every morning, and while that sounds wholesome for a 65-year-old with slower kidney function or mild dehydration, that much raw spinach could actually do more harm than good. The key, my dear ones, is balance and understanding what your body truly needs now, not what worked 20 years ago. If you find this information helpful, dear ones, do share it with a friend who might need it today. You never know whose life a little natural wisdom might touch. The hidden danger in healthy vegetables. Now let's look closer at what happens when certain vegetables, though full of nutrients, are not prepared or balanced correctly. Take beets, for instance. They are beautiful vegetables, rich in nitrates that help widen blood vessels, wonderful for blood pressure in moderation. But when the body converts too many nitrates into nitrites, especially in people with low stomach acid, which is common in seniors, it can alter hemoglobin and reduce oxygen delivery to the brain. It's not that these foods are bad, it's that the aging body needs gentler, balanced nourishment. When we're young, the liver can process excess compounds quickly. But as we age, every system becomes a little slower, a little more careful. And we must honour that. That's why I always remind my students, it's not just what you eat, it's how your body can use it now. How oxalates affect circulation and the aging body. When we talk about vegetables that can raise the risk of stroke, oxalates are often at the heart of the discussion. Oxalates are natural compounds found in many leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and even some fruits. They're not inherently bad. They're part of nature's design. But the trouble begins when the body cannot properly eliminate them. In a young, strong body, the kidneys and liver can filter these oxalates with ease. But in our 60s or 70s, that system slows down a little. The kidneys may already be managing years of mineral buildup, mild dehydration, or medication residues. When too many oxalates enter the bloodstream, they can bind with calcium and form tiny, sharp crystals. These crystals irritate the inner walls of our blood vessels, making them less flexible, less elastic. Once the arteries become stiff, the heart must pump harder to push blood through. Over time, that extra pressure can damage delicate brain vessels, raising the likelihood of a stroke. It's a chain reaction, not overnight, but quietly, bit by bit. And it often starts with what we thought was a healthy choice, like blending raw spinach into a smoothie every morning or eating large salads of beet greens and Swiss chard daily. You see, the goal is not to eliminate these vegetables entirely. They are still rich in minerals and antioxidants. The key lies in moderation, preparation and balance. If you love your greens, have them cooked, not raw. And always pair them with foods that support kidney function, such as lemon water, cucumber or celery juice. These foods help flush oxalates out gently and naturally. The nitrate connection, when good turns harmful.
So for breakfast, he'd have a bowl of soup. This soup he'd cook up every day. And he would have a bowl of, say, lentils, because I cooked the lentils in the morning. And then he'd walk out the door with a carrot and a handful of macadamia nuts, about 10. For lunch, he'd have another bowl of soup. And then he'd have what I'd made, which is salad, you know, very similar to what we had today. And at night, he'd have another bowl of soup. Do you know, he trimmed right down, lost excess fat, but he was still muscly, and his eczema totally cleared. Totally cleared. In fact, he couldn't believe it. And he was told he'd never be free of it. He said he can remember as a 10-year-old boy scratching his legs till they bled. And he could hear his mother and father fighting. The mother said, no cortisone. The father said, we've got to do something, look at him. And he said, if Dad won, I'd get the cortisone and it'd all settle down. But if Mum won... So what can you do when it's really itchy? Ice. Ice. Kill the itch with ice. Just ice it. You can try aloe vera, but you know what I find? As soon as anything you put on the skin heats up, it irritates it. And remember, it's coming from the inside. You can try aloe vera, you can try coconut oil, but most people find they're better just to leave the skin. If it gets too dry, a bit of coconut oil. But it's usually within 2 months. And if it's very severe, you can do what Matthew did and go grain-free. He's not grain-free now. In fact, I think he did it for 6 months. Just totally grain-free. He ate legumes twice a day. He ate a lot of vegetables. He ate seeds and nuts. He didn't lose his muscle because he was having adequate legumes. But he conquered it. In fact, he says it's the best thing he ever did.
Now let's turn to another important group, vegetables high in nitrates. Beets, spinach, lettuce and radishes are full of nitrates, which can indeed help lower blood pressure when handled correctly by the body. Nitrates convert into nitric oxide, which relaxes the blood vessels, allowing smoother blood flow. However, when the body's natural processing slows, as it often does with age, or when the stomach doesn't produce enough acid, these same nitrates can turn into nitrites. Nitrites in high amounts can interfere with oxygen transport in the blood. Imagine your red blood cells as little boats carrying oxygen to every cell. If too many of them are bound up by nitrites, the brain receives less oxygen. That can cause dizziness, confusion, and in some cases, increase the likelihood of stroke-like symptoms. Another thing that amplifies this effect is poor gut health. Seniors often experience reduced stomach acid, sometimes due to antacid use or years of processed foods. This low acid environment allows nitrates to convert more easily into harmful nitrites. That's why fermented foods like sauerkraut or kefir can be such gentle allies. They help restore natural stomach acid and support the body's ability to process nitrates properly. So if you enjoy beet juice or green smoothies, consider taking them in smaller amounts and always on a full stomach, never on an empty one. Add a squeeze of lemon or a sprinkle of sea salt. Both help balance the chemical reactions inside your body. Nature gives us what we need, but we must learn how to work with her rhythm, not against it. The calcium-magnesium balance and blood flow. There's a beautiful relationship inside the human body between calcium and magnesium. They are partners in every heartbeat, every muscle contraction, and every nerve signal. Calcium helps the muscles contract and magnesium helps them relax. When the balance between the two is lost, when calcium dominates and magnesium is lacking, the muscles, including the blood vessels, stay too tight. Tense, constricted blood vessels make it harder for blood to move freely, raising blood pressure and increasing stroke risk. Many seniors unknowingly live in a state of magnesium deficiency, often because modern diets are low in whole, mineral-rich foods. Excessive calcium intake from supplements or fortified foods can worsen the problem. Certain vegetables, particularly those high in oxalates like spinach, can actually bind magnesium and prevent it from being absorbed. So even if you're eating well, your cells may not be getting enough magnesium to relax the vessels and keep the blood flowing smoothly. One simple remedy is to include more magnesium-rich foods that are low in oxalates, such as pumpkin seeds, soaked almonds, or steamed broccoli. Another wonderful practice is taking a warm Epsom salt bath once or twice a week. The skin absorbs magnesium beautifully, calming both the body and the mind. When the body has enough magnesium, the arteries stay supple, the heart rhythm steady, and the brain well supplied with oxygen. It's one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to protect against stroke, naturally and gently. Hydration and the thick blood problem. Now, I must speak about something I've seen so often among seniors: dehydration. Many people over 60 simply don't feel as thirsty as they used to. They drink less water, believing their body doesn't need as much. But that's far from true. The older body actually needs more hydration to maintain smooth circulation because the blood thickens faster with even mild dehydration. And when blood thickens, it doesn't glide through the arteries easily. It drags, it sticks, and small clots can begin to form. Combine this with high oxalate or nitrate heavy meals and the risk of a stroke can quietly rise overnight. The good news is this can be reversed so easily. Begin your day with a glass of warm water, not cold but gently warm, to awaken the digestive system. Throughout the day, sip herbal teas made from ginger, dandelion or nettle. These herbs not only hydrate but also support kidney and liver function, helping to flush away excess compounds. Avoid drinking large amounts of water all at once. The body prefers small, regular sips. Think of it like watering a plant. Too much at once and it runs off the soil. Too little and the roots dry up. Steady nourishment keeps the cells healthy, the blood smooth, and the brain alert. And if you often wake up at night with cramps or stiffness, that's your body whispering that it's thirsty for minerals. A pinch of sea salt in a glass of water before bed can sometimes make all the difference. If you're finding these insights helpful, my dear ones, do remember to subscribe. It's my joy to continue sharing how you can care for your body naturally, every day, gently and wisely. Cooking and combining foods the right way. One of the most overlooked aspects of stroke prevention is how we combine our foods. Some people eat large salads full of raw spinach, nuts and cheese, believing it's the healthiest option. Yet that combination is full of oxalates, fats and calcium, all elements that, when overdone, can cause thick blood and stiff arteries. Instead, think of cooking as your ally, lightly steaming greens, sautéing them with olive oil and garlic, or combining them with lemon juice and herbs transforms these same foods into healing meals. Cooking breaks down oxalates, and the healthy fats help your body absorb fat-soluble vitamins like A and K more efficiently. Fermented vegetables like kimchi, sauerkraut, or lightly brined cucumbers also play a wonderful role in keeping the gut flora balanced. A healthy gut means better absorption, better elimination, and more stable circulation. When your digestion is calm, your blood is calm too. Another simple tip: don't eat the same vegetables every day, rotate them. The body thrives on variety. By giving it different nutrients each week, you avoid overloading any single pathway. Nature never designed us to eat the same food repeatedly. Variety is part of balance, and balance is the essence of health.
And of course, antibiotics are also made from a mold waste. It's not uncommon for people after antibiotics to get thrush, which like a fungal things, vaginal thrush, jock itch, tinea between the toes, things like that. That's not uncommon. So when someone does have an antibiotic, then it's important to come in with some cultured foods. It's where the sauerkraut's really good. Yogurt's really good. You can make yogurt out of coconut milk, soy milks. And you might have heard of prebiotics. They talk about you must take prebiotics as well as probiotics. Well, all prebiotic is vegetable fibre. So when someone has the yeast presence from the antibiotics, then the antifungal type foods, getting the sweets right down, lots of vegetables. Lots of vegetables, yeah.
Inflammation, the silent saboteur of circulation. There's a quiet force that often works beneath the surface of stroke risk, and that is inflammation. Now, inflammation isn't always bad. It's the body's natural response to heal itself, like when you cut your finger and it turns red and warm as your body rushes to repair the area. But when inflammation becomes chronic, low-grade and internal, it begins to harm instead of heal. In our arteries, this chronic inflammation irritates the inner lining, that smooth, delicate surface through which our blood flows. Once that lining is disturbed, cholesterol, calcium and even tiny bits of protein begin to cling to the damaged spots. Over time, these small patches grow, narrowing the vessel. When circulation slows and blood thickens, the risk of clot formation rises. That's how strokes so often begin, quietly, without pain, without warning. Now, what fuels this inflammation? It's not only sugar or processed foods, though those certainly play a part. Even certain vegetables, if eaten in large amounts, can trigger mild inflammation due to compounds like oxalates, lectins, or goitrogens. For a young body, this might not be a problem, but for someone in their 60s or 70s whose immune system is already a little more sensitive, this can make a significant difference. The body thrives when inflammation is calmed, when the inner fire burns steady but gentle. And nature, in her kindness, gives us everything we need for that balance. Fresh herbs, warm spices, clean air and simple movement. Circulation and movement, the natural medicine. If there's one thing I always remind my dear senior friends, it's this: movement is medicine. You see, the blood is meant to flow. When we move our bodies, even gently, we help the heart, the veins and the lymphatic system do their jobs. It doesn't have to be anything strenuous. A short walk after each meal, 10 minutes of light stretching or a few steps around the garden can make a world of difference. When you move, you're not just exercising the muscles, you're encouraging oxygen to reach every part of your body. Your brain receives a fresh supply of blood, your joints stay lubricated and your mood lifts naturally. Movement also helps regulate the way your body processes minerals like sodium and potassium, reducing pressure on the arteries. Now, combine this with good hydration and balanced meals, and you've got one of the most powerful natural ways to protect yourself from stroke. Remember, your heart loves rhythm, not rush. A steady pace, a calm breath and a relaxed body create the environment where health can thrive. If walking isn't easy for you, even gentle chair exercises, arm swings or foot circles can get your circulation going. I once had a dear lady, 81 years old, who couldn't walk long distances, so she would sit near the window every morning, lift her arms, take slow deep breaths and gently tap her feet. "It makes me feel alive again," she said. And truly, that's what the body asks for: life, movement and flow, the role of free radicals and antioxidants. Now let's talk about something many people hear about but rarely understand fully: free radicals. These are unstable molecules created by our own metabolism and by exposure to toxins, pollution or processed foods. They damage cells and blood vessels, leading to stiffness, inflammation and eventually the thickening of the arteries. Antioxidants are the body's defense. They neutralize these free radicals and protect our tissues. This is one of the reasons why colorful vegetables and fruits are so healing. They're rich in natural antioxidants. But again, balance is key. Too much of one single type, especially raw greens high in oxalates or nitrates, can tip that balance the other way. What I often suggest is to bring more variety of colours to the plate. Bright orange carrots, deep purple cabbage, soft green peas and golden pumpkins. Each one carries its own unique protective compounds. When you eat from the rainbow of nature, your body receives a gentle blend of antioxidants without the burden of excess from any one source. One of my favourite combinations is a simple plate of steamed pumpkin, broccoli and carrots drizzled with olive oil and sprinkled with herbs. It nourishes the heart, soothes the digestion and keeps inflammation at bay. The simpler the meal, the easier it is for your body to use its goodness. Safer and healthier vegetables for the senior heart. Many of my senior friends ask me, then what should I eat if some vegetables raise the risk? My answer is always this: there are many beautiful, gentle vegetables that support circulation without overburdening the kidneys or thickening the blood. Zucchini, cauliflower, green beans and pumpkin are excellent choices. They are low in oxalates, easy to digest and rich in minerals that support vascular health. Sweet potatoes, when baked or steamed, offer potassium to balance blood pressure naturally. Carrots, when lightly cooked, help the liver gently detoxify without irritating the gut. Garlic and onions too deserve a special mention. They contain sulfur compounds that naturally thin the blood and prevent clot formation. Just a small clove of garlic in your meals can help keep the arteries clear. If you enjoy greens, rotate them. Have spinach one week, then move to kale, then to lettuce or cabbage. The variety prevents mineral buildup and supports a more balanced internal chemistry. Always remember, health doesn't come from a single food, it comes from harmony among all the foods you eat. If this message has blessed you today, do share it with a loved one. Someone you know may be quietly struggling with their health, and a little natural wisdom could bring them the understanding they need. You can also subscribe to learn more about caring for your body naturally, with grace, with patience, and with love. And as always, dear ones, take each day as a new opportunity to honour this precious gift of life. Your body, your mind, and your spirit are all connected. Care for them gently, and they will serve you beautifully in return.
If this video helped you understand how to do that, please give it a thumbs up. It truly helps others find this important information. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay informed, stay healthy.